So we've been recording chats with management players, and now we've got a past player on. We have got Peter Coyne. Hello, thanks for joining us, Peter.
That's okay. Glad to.
Yeah, and how are you? First of all, I mean, how are you coping with lockdown? You're looking well.
Thanks very much for that. I'm off work at the minute. I'm furloughed for till next week, and then I'm just about ready to go back in now. Anyway, so there's only so much you can do at home, isn't there? So I'm ready
Yeah,
to go back to work now. So
we were just chatting then before we came on air. Just so you were saying like you're itching to get back on the golf course now, aren't you? And
I can't wait. I mean, I know the lifted all the restrictions last week, didn't they? But I've had a little practice, but I'm raring to go now. So
mm,
I'm going to try and get a game later on when it gets a bit quieter and less hot. So fingers crossed.
well, I mean, talking about your football career, obviously
Yeah,
you've had a glittering career. It was a
thank you.
bit before my time when you were at
Yeah,
Hyde. I think maybe I just started coming watching after you just left.
right.
But obviously you're a former
Okay.
England schoolboy and you're with
Yeah,
Manchester United. You actually made two appearances, didn't you, for them?
yeah, I did. Luke, yeah, way back in the day. Yeah.
And how was that experience? I mean, who was your manager at the time at Manchester United?
Yeah, the manager was Tommy Docherty. I believe he lives near Hyde now, anyway, somewhere up there. But yeah, he was my boss. About mid-70s it was. So yeah, I just played a couple of games for him.
Were you around in the relegation season then?
I was an apprentice then,
Right.
but I was there. The famous game where Dennis Law. I don't know if you remember that. Dennis Law backheeled
I've
it in.
seen photos of it. I'm not that old.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well,
yeah,
yeah. Of course, yeah.
yeah.
I was at that game, so yeah. It's not great memories, but
Mm.
it makes all the good ones seem even better now when you've seen the bad times. A
Yeah.
lot of United fans now. I don't know if you are, Luke, but you won't know any bad times. Like, do you know what I mean? Especially like the 30-year-olds. All they know is great,
Mm.
but people my age, God, United were really struggling back in the 70s.
Yeah,
So.
well, they think now's bad, don't they? So it's but
Well,
then
yeah, I'm getting a bit like that now, but I think, I mean, you can never say never in football, but I don't think United will ever get relegated anymore because they've got
no.
too much power, too much money.
Just obviously saying you're at that game then against Manchester City.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the atmosphere like? Was it one of shock or was it anger or what?
I don't know. Like I say, I must have been about 16. I'd not been there as a full timer very long, and I didn't really know many of the first team players. I'm not sure if I was on dressing room duty straight after the game where you had to go in and sweep up. But I'm sure that would have stuck in my mind. But it was just bad times. United had a poor. I hate to say this about my own team, but they
Mm.
weren't very good at the time. Obviously, that's why they got relegated. But you can see what he meant. It was awful for the supporters, but you can see what happened to Dennis Law. An ex-Red, as soon as he scored, he came off. I don't know if you've
Mm.
seen the footage of that, Luke, but he came off straight away. It upset him as well. So
Yeah, I saw he was upset. I didn't realise he came straight off. So that's
yeah,
yeah.
he got subbed straight away. He obviously didn't celebrate his goal or anything. So he's. I think everyone will remember Dennis for being. I mean, he was my hero, Dennis Law. When I first started, I wanted to be Dennis Law, but
Yeah.
I've still never ever met him. Like, hopefully, I'll meet him one day. But no, not very good times.
And then it says here you had a stint in America as well. You went out to Los
Yeah.
Angeles, the Los Angeles
Oh, you've
Aztecs,
got
I
that,
think.
have you?
Yeah,
Yeah. I was
yeah.
I was playing for Crewe at the time, and I got a message of a guy from London, and I now know he was George Best's agent, and he was just sounding me out. Do I fancy it? And when our season ends to when it starts, so I thought, God, America, that sounds okay. It's when it was just starting. So anyway, I said, yeah, I'd be interested. And next minute, he phoned my boss, who was the late great Harry Gregg at the time.
Mm.
He was my boss at Crewe, and he said, "Do you fancy it?" I said, "Oh yeah, I won't mind." So yeah, next minute, all signed and sealed, and off I went for 3 months.
And how was that then? How was that experience out in LA?
Completely different.
Yeah,
First of all,
it's no
heat.
Manchester, is it?
No, not really. No, and obviously, but I just remember I knew I was going to be in the same team as Georgie Best, I'd never really met him properly. I'd only met him to say hello. And I just remember walking in the dressing room, and he came in, and I thought, oh my God, here we go. And he just came straight over to me, shook my hand, introduced himself, and said, if there's anything I need, just give him a shout. He'll look after me. So again, another one of my heroes.
Yeah, and then obviously once you'd finished in LA, you headed back over here. You went to Manchester United, and then you came to Hyde, and you were there between 1980 and 1985. And I was looking up your stats before. It was 83 goals and 155 appearances. That isn't bad, is it?
Was that for Hyde? Was it?
Yeah, apparently.
Was it? Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, we had a fantastic team, Luke. Obviously, you won't remember any of the players, but I don't know. Have you come across Kevin Glendon at all?
I've heard of him. Yeah, he managed Radcliffe, didn't he, for a while?
Yeah, so. Yeah. So I managed to get Kevin. I recommended Kevin to Hyde. Sorry, my battery's just going. I'm just plugging it in again.
Don't worry.
So I recommended Kevin to Hyde, and we had a really good understanding straight away, and there were some fantastic players in that team. So I always describe myself as a goal hanger. You don't have many goal hangers these days, but
no.
I was like, just because all people said to me, it used to get my nerves a little bit. Oh, all you do is score. That's all you do. And I mean, it's probably the hardest thing to do in football, isn't it? But we had crosses coming in from the left, because we played with wingers them days, Luke. So we had crosses coming in from the left, crosses coming in from the right. You just had to queue up in the box and get ready to have a shot. So plenty of chances coming in from everywhere.
Yeah, it annoys me that, because obviously the most important thing is scoring goals. That's what wins your games at the end of the day, doesn't it? So.
Well, yeah, and I think it's pretty obvious the people who get paid the most, they're the ones who score the most goals, aren't they? But that's all I ever wanted to do as a young kid. All I ever wanted to do was score. And as you get older, obviously you learn it's not just all about you, and there's other people's in better positions than you sometimes in the box. But that didn't come to me until about mid-20s, because all I ever wanted to do was score.
Yeah, I suppose you get that knack as you get older, don't you, or get into your mid-20s?
Well, I think it comes with experience, doesn't it? And I always trusted myself, Luke, to maybe, if not score, hit the target. But I mean, yeah, as you get older, you think, oh yeah, there's someone in a better position than you. Maybe it's best if you choose that option to pass rather than shoot yourself. Otherwise, you could get a telling off of some older players.
And the managers you're under, was it Les Sutton mainly when you were there, or?
Yeah. My brother played for Hyde before me, Jed. Jed went on to manage Hyde. So Jed was at Hyde when I didn't have a club, and the season was just starting. So he says, "What are you going to do?" I says, "I don't know. I thought I would have been sorted out." He says, "Why don't you come and play for Hyde?" I didn't know anything about him really. So Jed had a word with Les. This was about a couple of days before the season started, and I remember my first game. I can remember it now. Playing at, is it Butcher's Arms? Is that what they still call it?
Droylsden. Yeah. Still that.
Yeah, we played there my first game, and I remember I had this big baggy kit on. I'm not sure if it was all red or all green. It might have been the away kit, all big baggy kit.
If they play in red, they probably would have been the away kit. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I can remember it now. We beat them 6-0. And I thought, well, this Hyde team's not bad at all. And I didn't even score. So, but I thought, oh, yeah, they've got a good team here. And Les was a manager like I've never met any manager before. So, but yeah, he was good, Les. He had a good team then as well. So, yeah, I've got great memories of Hyde.
What was he like then as a manager? Was he just no nonsense?
Yeah, he was just dead old school, Les. I remember we used to turn up for the game, and then he'd come in with a piece of paper, pin the team up on the wall, and walk out before anyone could say anything. So if you weren't in the team, you couldn't pull him and say what's going on, and then he'd come back in later on. And really, Les, he just let us get on with it. He knew he had a good team. We had a fantastic captain, legend at Hyde in Tony Steenson, who was like his right hand man. And he was the manager on the pitch, and he was a fantastic captain, Tony Stainton, as well as a good player as well.
Have you got any funny stories you can tell from that era that are clean, of course?
God, you're asking me now, Luke. Any funny? Yeah, but there's one that I couldn't really tell you about it because it's a bit rude. So
No, oh, don't worry then. Well,
yeah, it's well, a lad called Jimmy Golder. God bless him. I mean, he's dead now, but again, another fantastic player. We played at Blythe Spartans away in the. I think it must have been the FA Cup because we drew at home in the first leg, and then on the Saturday they did the FA Cup draw, and it said the winners of Hyde and Blythe play Burnley. So we had to go to Blythe, who were a giant killing team then, non-league team. And Jimmy got injured, but he came on the trip as well. And on the way there, our chairman, we knew we had Burnley waiting for us in the next round, so it would have been a money spinner. He offered us all a nice little bonus if we won. I don't think for 1 minute he thought we would beat them. Anyway, cut a long story short, we beat them. We're all dead pleased that we got Burnley, and we got a nice few quid as well, bonus. But because Jimmy was injured, he didn't give it him. So Jimmy was absolutely gutted, blazing, and not the best story in the world, Luke. But on the way home, never stopped at the services or anything like that to go to the toilet. Or someone just had a bucket in the back, and everyone was having a wee in the bucket. And it was the secretary, the money man. Jimmy asked him one more time, was he getting a bonus? And he said no. So he tipped the bucket of wee over his head. So
wow.
that didn't go down very well. But he never got the money. But anyway, that was Jimmy Golder for you.
I mean, tell us about that day when you played Burnley. Obviously, Hyde haven't had many first-round appearances. There was the Burnley one, then there was Darlington back in '93, and then there was the MK Dons one a couple of years ago. So you kind of made history in that sense, didn't you?
Yeah, it was brilliant because, like I say, we'd heard all about Blythe. We'd played them at home. And another little story for that game, on the way up there, our manager was Peter Ragg. And what he'd done, when someone had cleaned the Blythe dressing rooms when he played them at home, they found like a dossier on Hyde United. So they've obviously been to watch us a couple of times when they knew we'd got them in the cup. And they wrote like 4 or 5 lines on each player, saying what they were like: right foot, left foot, good in the air, good tackler, stuff like that. So Peter Ragg, on halfway up there, said, "Listen, lads, I've got this dossier here that we found in the dressing room. I think you'll find it quite interesting." So we're all sat there at the back, and he starts off: goalie, big lad, bit clumsy, not the best keeper in the world, anything on target, good chance of scoring. Right back, bed slow, overweight, balls over the top, you'll beat him, stuff like that. And it went on and on and on. And we're all like, this cheeky so-and-so.
Yeah,
so what Raggy was doing, he was getting us all fired up. So when we got to the ground, didn't need a team talk.
Yeah.
Because they've been so negative towards our lads. So all the lads were all already fired up. So, and then we went on to beat them 4-2 as well, and then play Burnley. But Burnley was it was great because they had a fantastic team at the time. They had a manager called John Bond, who I think he went on to manage City, or he'd already managed City. And he had a load of ex-City players in his team, like Tommy Hutchinson, Kevin Reeves, Steve Daly. They had a real good team. In fact, I was talking to Kevin Glendon about it the other day, and he was reminding me the players that they had in their team on the day, and they only beat us 2-0 as well. So we get a really good account of ourselves.
I mean, yeah, and obviously you had such a good... Was it the plastic pitch? Was it like I'll say artificial pitch, not plastic pitch. Was it the artificial pitch when you were there?
At Burnley or Hyde?
No, at Hyde, sorry. When you were playing at Hyde.
No, it was Luke, you would never believe how bad the pitch was back in the day. It was an absolute bog. And of course, I've been back a few times, last few years. I played on the 3G thing, which I didn't like. But then United and City started playing there, didn't they, on the grass? And
yeah.
I thought, oh, my God. would love to have played on that pitch with the old Hyde team. You know, we were playing on. You know, it was neat. Honestly, it really was a bog. It was hard to play, but we did the best we could. But the pitch is really good now, isn't it?
Well, yeah, the 4G pitch, it's really good. They haven't had a game call off in 3 years now since it's been
That
put
right.
down. So,
But the
yeah.
Burnley game, we played at their place. It was meant to be at our place. But in the day, then you could swap it to their ground because obviously you got a bigger crowd and all that. So we swapped the game to Turf Moor, which was great for us all playing in a big stadium and a decent crowd.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I don't really remember it, but it does, from people who I've spoke to, who said it was a really good day and you gave a really good account of yourself. So you must have been pleased with that at least.
Yeah, the lad who I just mentioned before, Kevin Glendon, he had a fantastic game in that game. And he was telling me this last week. He said, as we went off at the end, he knew a few City players. He was a young lad at City. And this lad, Steve Daly, shook hands with Kevin and said, well done, Kev, today. I'll see you Monday. So he says, what do you mean I'll see you Monday? He says, our manager was raving about you on the bench. He wants to sign you. He said, you kidding me? He said, no. So Kevin told me this last week, and on Monday they'd phone Hyde over the weekend, and they signed Kevin. Kevin got a contract from Burnley on the back of that game.
Wow!
So it just shows you, right?
Oh, definitely, yeah. It's a shop window, and it was a shop window for you, obviously playing in that Hyde team, because eventually you went to Swindon. Lee McCarry signed you, didn't he? And obviously everyone knows him. I mean, how was that when he called you up?
Well, what had happened was, cut a long story short, Luke, when I mentioned it already, Harry Gregg was my manager at Crewe. Anyway, a few years later, I was at Hyde playing under Peter Ragg. I was doing all right, scoring a few goals, and it was just at the start of the season, and it was announced that Lou had got his first job at Swindon, and he was taking Harry Gregg to be his assistant. So I remember my dad's phoning me and saying, I've seen what Harry's, because Harry seemed to like me at Crewe. So he just said, I wonder if he'll remember you and give you a ring. I went, it was ages ago. I don't think so. And sure enough, Harry Gregg got my phone number, rang me and said, do you fancy coming down to Swindon, training with us for a week? He says, I'm pretty sure you'll get a contract. So I don't know. It was right at the start of the season. When I think about it now, what was I thinking about? To be a professional footballer? Well, obviously it's nice. A lot of people want to do it, don't they? So, but I was just about to start a new job, Luke. So I had a young family, just about to start a new job. I thought, oh my God, moving to the other part of the country, what a big decision this is to make. So I'd already told Harry that I would come. He'd arranged to get me a lift and everything down to Swindon. And then the next day I phoned him up. Said, Harry, I said, I'm sorry, but I explained what I've just said to you. And he went, oh, you should come, you should come. I said, I'd love to, Harry, but what if you don't like me, Lee? What if you don't fancy me? Anyway, we had a lad who just started with us, a lad called John Timmons. I don't know if you remember him. Again, a long time ago. Fantastic player. We just signed him. And he'd scored a hat-trick in his first league game. And I thought, who is this guy? You know, because he'd come, I know we were non-league, but I think he'd come from a team called Main Road.
Yeah.
And he scored a hat-trick on his first game. And I thought, wow, what a player he is. So I said to Harry, anyway, Harry, you don't want to sign me anyway. I said, there's a lad here, better than me, miles better than me, called John Timmons. And he went, oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so we left on good terms. And then we played on the Saturday. And then we had a Monday night game at Ewan Fields at home.
Yeah.
Lovely night, lovely evening. And then halfway through the second half, I think it was Curzon that we played. They had a free, or it might have been Droyles. They had a free kick. And I'm just goal hanging on the halfway line. And it was pretty quiet because we only had a couple of hundred there. And someone shouted my name dead distinct. I thought, who was that? So I just looked over and it was Lou McCarry. He was leant over one of the bars right at the side of the pitch. So he went, you're coming back to Swindon with me tonight. So I thought, oh my God, because we were winning 2-0. And I was having, when you're having a decent game, I was having a decent game. And then when I came off the pitch, chairman just came up to me and says, "Pete, before you go, come and see us in the boardroom. Someone would like to talk to you." And that was it. The deal was, we'll call it a deal. Didn't have much to say. Do you fancy it? Yeah. And I wasn't even bothered about money. He said, "Right, I'll sort it out." And then that was it. Ended up going to Swindon.
Yeah, and you had a great time there, didn't you? You were second highest scorer in your first season. You won a fourth division championship medal the season after, and then you had back-to-back promotions. It must have been a really good time for you, that.
It was, because when I went there, we weren't very good. And we had a terrible start. And like I say, it was Lou's first job. You know, he'd just come from playing for United to his first job in the fourth division. And he was used to playing with all, you know, international players and Celtic, United and what have you. And looking back, it was a big eye-opener for him going to fourth division footballers. And within months, Lou had realised how to get out of that division was to get you fit. That was the first thing he ever did with us all. Got us fit, organised, and discipline. And we went on some unbelievable runs, and we apparently we created record after record with away wins and the amount of goals and stuff like that. And I can't thank Lou enough and Harry for taking me to Swindon. And I think it was about 5 years there. I wasn't a regular towards the end, but I had about 3 great seasons there that, you know, like I say, I know it might not sound much, but a fourth division medal.
Yeah.
You know, it
and
was
the record
fantastic.
breaking, and you had a record breaking 102 points as well. So like you say, you broke records, didn't you?
Yeah, and I think we got over the first team to get over 100 goals or something like that in a season as well, which was really nice. But I hear managers go on now about momentum. You know, when teams get on a roll, and it's true. Once you start winning, and you look around the dressing room, you look at the kind of player you've got next to you. Sometimes you can never ever see yourself being beat, and that's the way it was. It was just like a win after win after win. You just went out expecting, you know, we didn't have one star player. Lou didn't work like that. Everyone had a job to do, but what we were, he got us all dead fit. And in that division, especially in that division, it counts for a lot.
Yeah, and eventually you left Swindon in 1990. They actually gained promotion to the Premier League, didn't they, in 93, I think. So 3 years after you left, they were in the Premier League. So it was probably, you were there probably 5 years too early, weren't you, in a way?
Well, yeah, that would have been nice, getting in the Premier League. But, you know, the times that you had playing in the fourth division and getting promoted, and the pitches weren't all that great. And, you know, it's great now because on the YouTube, someone puts old footage on and you can see.
Yeah.
And it's some of the state of the pitches, like you think, God, how did we ever play on that? I mean, you'd love to play on the pitches now, but, you know, it was fantastic memories, though.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was really good.
No, excellent. And then obviously once you left Swindon, you had a loan spell at Aldershot, didn't you? And then Colne Dynamos, Radcliffe, Glossop. Yeah. And you kind of winded down your career then, didn't you?
Yeah, I went all over the show. But like I say, Jed, who got me into Hyde, when I was about 32, you know, when you start thinking, what am I going to do when I finish playing football? He said, I'll get you a job at the airport. He says, you know, you still be able to play football, you know, part-time football.
Yeah.
So a job, all I'd ever known was football. So sure enough, when it happens, you think, right, what do I do now? Like, you're out of pro football. So I got in it at the airport and started doing the non-league thing. And Kevin Glendon, who I'd known for years and years, he went into management and was at Radcliffe. I think my first non-league club, though, I think it was, apart from Hyde, I think I went to Glossop, started playing there. And as I got older, I dropped down the standard, because you get a little bit slower as well, don't you? So I didn't want to make a fool of myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as I got older and slower, I dropped down into a league where I knew I would make a fool of myself. So that's the way it worked. I think I played till about 40.
Oh, it's good. It's good that you kept going. Like I say, it's all up there. It's not necessarily in the legs, is it? So,
Well, some of the things that your managers tell you over the years, and the thing I said about Lou Macari, he said to us, he got us in the dressing room after a few weeks and said, right, he said, I'm going to make you all better players. And you think, oh, what's he going to say here? How's he going to do this? What's he going to make us dribble? He's going to make us pass. So we're all waiting. He says, I'm going to get you fitter. So we all dropped our heads a little bit thinking, oh, no, he's going to run us every single day. But that's what he did. Luke, I cannot tell you how much running we did. But it paid off because there was so many times in games we were behind last 15, 20 minutes. And we'd come and run over the top of teams because we were just fitter, more fitter than I say we're the fittest team in the league, and everyone got to know about us. So that was Lou's biggest thing in the lower leagues. The fitter you are, the more success you'll have.
yeah, it obviously helps that, doesn't it? And then you went full circle and you ended up taking your coaching badges. And you worked with Manchester United, but in the football community side, didn't you?
Yeah, I did that. I think that was about 2007. I knew a few lads who worked for United, and I'd been to the Cliff doing my badges, and they told me, to apply. So I thought, I won't mind doing that. So luckily enough, I got an interview, and I stayed there for about a year, but I didn't really know a lot about coaching, even though I'd been coached all my life. It's all right being coached, but actually doing the coaching yourself is a different story. And once I got my head around it, what you had to do, I watched all the coaches at United, watched what they did, and I wrote everything down, all the drills that they had and stuff like that, all the bits of advice that they give to young kids. I wrote it all down. And I've still got it at home now. And I eventually thought, what do I want to do? Do I want to coach adults, teenager, or youngsters? So where I find my niche was primary school. That's where I do my coaching now, in the primary schools. I just seem to. It's fantastic when you're coaching young, not so much coaching young kids, but you've got to make it fun for them. When you're asking them to do stuff, and then all of a sudden one day they'll do something that you've been working on, and you think, oh my God, it was worth it, just to see this kid couldn't kick a ball when you first started, and then 6 weeks later he's doing things that you've been working on. It gives you a massive buzz.
And of course, the family association at Hyde is lived on. You said your brother Jed, he managed, and obviously your nephew Martin's there now. He's involved with the juniors, and he's also on the coaching staff now.
Yeah. I see Martin on Facebook, and I do follow him. And Martin's football daft, always has been. He's in a football mad family, and obviously his dad Jed, who lives in Malta now, he's been in football all his life, so it's great. It's really nice to see Martin following in the tradition.
Excellent. Well, Peter, I'm sure this will be a nice trip down memory lane for a lot of fans, and thanks very much for joining us.
That's okay, Luke. Anytime.